Welcome to our deep dive into the Franklin fire.
Oh, yeah.
It's a rapidly changing situation, so we're working with like the latest updates from the Independent.
hmm
Literally, news is coming in as we speak.
It's serious stuff.
Yeah.
A late-night wildfire fueled by strong winds, thousands of evacuations.
Oh, wow.
It's like a race against time to get this blaze under control.
Okay, so let's unpack this.
Okay.
You know how they say something spread like wildfire?
hmm
Well, this one actually did. Imagine this.
Yeah.
Monday night,
Right.
just before 11 p.m.,
Okay.
this fire ignites.
hmm
By Tuesday afternoon, it's already consumed almost 2,600 acres.
Wow.
That's nearly triple the size in less than a day.
That's fascinating to me.
Yeah.
They don't even know the cause yet.
Really?
It's still under investigation, which adds a whole other layer of complexity to this situation.
Yeah.
It really makes you wonder what could spark a fire that spreads this quickly.
Right. And the impact on Malibu and its residents is just heartbreaking. Over 6,000 people forced to evacuate.
Oh my gosh.
Can you imagine having to leave your home not knowing if you'll have anything to come back to?
That's it's a level of uncertainty and potential loss that's
Oh,
hard to
right.
grasp.
I
I
know.
read a story about Jessica Jones and Matthew Ryder who had to evacuate with their 3 goats,
Oh, wow.
Willie, Russell, and their mom, Ginger, and their pot-bellied pig, Penelope.
That's incredible, isn't it? In a crisis, our instinct is to protect what we love most.
It's amazing.
But it's not just individual families. Think about the ripple effects.
Hmm.
Schools in Malibu are closed.
Right.
Pepperdine University had to postpone final exams.
This is where it gets really interesting. You know, these wildfires, they don't just damage property.
Uh-huh.
They disrupt like the entire rhythm of a community.
Yeah.
It's like a shockwave that hits everything.
So now to contain this beast, they've got 700 firefighting personnel out there battling the blaze,
Wow.
plus air support. That's a massive mobilization of resources, right?
It's a testament to how seriously everyone's taking this threat.
Yeah.
And thankfully, they're getting some backup.
Oh, good.
The LA County Sheriff's Department has deployed 150 personnel to help with the response.
Wow.
Plus, FEMA has approved a federal assistance grant for California.
Okay, so what does that mean exactly?
It means the federal government is recognizing this is no longer just like a local problem.
Yeah.
It's a big deal that FEMA is stepping in.
Right.
That grant can bring in resources far beyond what California could handle on its own.
Wow.
Everything from financial aid to specialized equipment.
So it's like calling in the cavalry.
Exactly. It's a sign of how intense this fight really is.
Oh, wow.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
We're not out of the woods yet.
Oh, no.
Red flag warnings are in effect through Wednesday.
Right.
Strong winds, warm weather.
Hmm.
Basically the perfect recipe for this fire to keep growing.
So it's like the fire's holding all the cards right now.
Right.
It could die down or it could
Yeah.
explode.
Precisely this next 48 hours is going to be a nail-biter for everyone involved.
Oh, gosh.
And as if the fire itself wasn't enough, we've also got the smoke to worry about.
All right.
The South Coast Air Quality Management District issued a wildfire smoke advisory, warning about potential health risks.
That's scary. I mean, most people know smoke is bad for you.
Yeah.
But what's the specific danger here?
Wildfire smoke is full of tiny particles that can get deep into your lungs
Oh,
and even your bloodstream.
wow.
It can trigger asthma attacks, worsen heart conditions, and even cause long-term respiratory problems.
Oh, no.
For people with existing health conditions, it can be really dangerous.
Wow. So even if you're far from the flames, you're not necessarily safe.
Exactly. And to add another layer of complexity, officials are asking residents to conserve water and avoid using sprinklers.
I'm guessing that's to make sure there's enough water for firefighting efforts.
That's right. It highlights the interconnectedness of everything in a situation like this.
Yeah.
Even seemingly small actions like turning off your sprinklers.
Can contribute to the overall response efforts.
It's all hands on deck, huh?
Yeah.
So despite everything the firefighters are doing, it sounds like the situation is still very much in flux.
Absolutely.
We know that a minimal number of homes have been destroyed,
Right.
but even that number is unclear at this point.
Right. And that uncertainty just adds to the anxiety for those who've been evacuated.
Right.
They're left wondering, is my home still standing?
Right.
That waiting game has got to be excruciating.
It's like this fire is a constant threat even beyond the immediate flames.
It is. And that's precisely why heeding official warnings and evacuation orders is so important.
Right.
It's about personal responsibility and taking those proactive steps to ensure your safety and the safety of your loved ones.
So where does that leave us? Rapidly spreading fire
Yeah.
thousands displaced a massive firefighting effort underway
Yeah.
in these looming red flag conditions.
It paints a pretty intense picture.
The next few days will be absolutely crucial in determining how this fire develops and the ultimate impact it has.
Yeah. It's a stark reminder of how powerful and unpredictable nature can be,
Yeah.
especially with these kinds of events becoming more frequent and intense.
It really makes you think, is this just bad luck, or are we playing a part in making these fires worse?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it brings us to a crucial point that we can't just focus on fighting fires when they happen.
Right.
We need to be smarter about preventing them in the first
So
place.
we need to be more proactive.
Exactly. Think about forest management.
Okay.
We can use controlled burns to clear out the underbrush, thin out dense areas of trees, and create fire breaks that can help contain a fire if it starts.
So it's like we're giving the firefighters a fighting chance.
Exactly. We're
Yeah.
making the landscape less vulnerable to these mega fires. And it's not just about the forests.
Right.
Urban planning plays a huge role, too.
You mean like how we build our cities and towns?
Right.
Absolutely. We need to rethink how we develop areas that are prone to wildfires.
Okay.
Things like using fire-resistant building materials, creating defensible spaces around homes, and ensuring there are adequate evacuation routes.
So it's about designing communities that are more in tune with the environment, right?
Precise.
Recognizing that fire is a natural part of these ecosystems.
Exactly. And it might even mean having tough conversations about where and how we build in the first place.
Yeah.
Limiting development in high-risk areas could be essential.
Okay, so we've talked about forest management, urban planning. What else can we do?
Well, on an individual level, staying informed and prepared is crucial.
Right.
That means paying attention to weather alerts, knowing your community's evacuation plan, and having a go bag ready.
It sounds simple, but in a crisis, being prepared can make all the difference.
Absolutely. And let's not forget about climate change.
Right.
Warmer temperatures, drier conditions, increased wind speeds.
Yeah.
These are all factors that are making wildfires more frequent and intense.
It's like we're adding fuel to the fire, literally.
Exactly. So addressing climate change
Hmm.
is not just about saving the planet.
Right.
It's about protecting ourselves from these devastating events.
That's a powerful point. It makes it personal. So we're facing a complex problem,
Yeah,
but it sounds like there are things we can do both individually and collectively.
there are. It's about acknowledging the risks, making smart choices, and working together to create a safer, more resilient future.
And in the meantime, for those already impacted by this fire, what can we do to help?
There are organizations like the Red Cross that are providing vital assistance to those who've been displaced.
Okay.
Donating time, money, or resources can make a real difference.
Yeah.
It's about showing up for each other,
Right.
not just in times of crisis, but in the ongoing work of building resilience.
And I think that's a perfect takeaway for our listeners as we wrap up this deep dive into the Franklin fire.
Yeah.
This is a story that's still unfolding, and the next few days will be critical.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also a reminder of our own power to make a difference.
The immediate threat might subside, but the lessons we learn from this fire will continue to shape our understanding of wildfire risk and the actions we take to address it.
It's a story that underscores the power of nature, the importance of preparedness, and the collective responsibility we all share in creating a safer, more resilient future. And, as we've been talking about the Franklin fire, it's hard not to think about all the other wildfires happening around the world,
Yeah.
from Australia to the Amazon rainforest.
That's true.
They're becoming more frequent and intense, and the consequences are being felt everywhere.
It's a global issue,
Right.
and it's impacting everything. Ecosystems, human health economies,
Yeah.
we're all interconnected, and these fires are a stark reminder of that.
So what can we do?
Right.
If we could wave a magic wand and change one thing to reduce the risk of catastrophic wildfires, what would it be?
Wow.
What's the boldest action we could take, or the biggest shift in thinking we need to make to really turn the tide?
That's a good question.
That's something I want you to consider as we move forward.
That's a great question,
Yeah.
and it's one that scientists and policymakers are grappling with right now.
Yeah.
There's no easy answer, but I think one of the most promising areas is forest management.
Okay, so we're talking about controlled burns, thinning out forests, creating fire breaks, things like that.
Exactly. It's about actively managing our forests to make them less vulnerable to these massive wildfires.
Mhm.
Fire is a natural part of these ecosystems, but we've spent decades suppressing fires, which has led to a buildup of fuel.
So we've actually made the problem worse by trying to prevent fires altogether.
In a way, yes. We need to find a balance between preventing catastrophic fires
Mm,
and allowing fire to play its natural role in the ecosystem.
that makes sense. And what about technology? Can technology play a role in fighting wildfires?
Absolutely. We're seeing some really interesting developments in areas like remote sensing, satellite imagery, and predictive modeling.
Mm.
These tools are helping us to better understand fire behavior, predict where fires might occur, and deploy resources more effectively.
So it's like we're getting smarter about how we fight fires.
Exactly. And we're also seeing new firefighting technologies like drones that can drop fire retardant or robots that can assist firefighters in dangerous situations.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah,
It's amazing to see how technology is being harnessed to tackle these challenges, but it's not just about fighting fires when they happen, right?
right.
We talked earlier about urban planning and how we build in fire-prone areas.
You're absolutely right. We need to be thinking about how we design our communities to be more fire resistant.
Oh, got
Things
it.
like using fire resistant building materials,
Hmm.
creating defensible spaces around homes, and ensuring that communities have adequate evacuation routes.
So it's about designing communities that are more in harmony with the fire-prone environments they inhabit.
Precisely. And it also involves having some tough conversations about land use planning and zoning regulations. We need to limit development in high-risk areas, even if that's not always a popular decision.
It sounds like there's no one-size-fits-all solution. It's going to take a combination of individual responsibility, community action, and policy changes.
I agree. It's about working together to create a future where we can coexist with fire rather than constantly battling against it.
And on that note, we'll leave you with this final thought to ponder.
Okay.
If you could wave a magic wand and change one thing to reduce the risk of catastrophic wildfires, what would it be? What bold action or shift in thinking do we need to make to truly turn the tide? Keep that question in mind as you stay informed about wildfire risks, support those affected by these events, and advocate for a more fire-resilient future. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the Franklin Fire. We'll see you next time for another exploration of the most pressing issues of our time.